All right, guys, we're in the studio here. My guest today in the 509 studios, I got Colton Haaker. Colton is an OG. He's a certified Haas OG, 5-time AMA Endurocross Champion, 3-time World Enduro Champion. He's raced all over the world. He's pushed the limits of the sport in so many different ways. He's done a 360 on a motorcycle in a way that nobody else has. He has chased his dreams. He's done it all. He's run businesses. The guy's the man. I hope you guys like this episode. We get pretty deep and we have some fun, so I hope you like it. Cheers. And now a quick word from our sponsors that keep the podcast going. Bulletproof Designs is a company that focuses on making the highest quality billet aluminum protective parts for off-road dirt bikes, made right here in the USA. I've been running Bulletproof Designs since 2012, and I've had great luck with all of their products. Their products come with a lifetime warranty, so if you break something, you know they got your back. Bulletproof Designs protective equipment is a must-have if you like to ride gnarly terrain. If you like to mess around and find out, you better put Bulletproof Designs on your bike. Head on over to bulletproofdesigns.com to order parts to keep you riding weekend after weekend. Climb needs no introduction, but here we go anyway. I've been riding Climb gear since 2008. They were one of my first sponsors. Climb works hard to provide the community with high quality, lightweight, and durable motorcycle gear. Their latest addition is the XC Pro line of gear. This is what I run. They have off-road and adventure gear along with a range of other lifestyle products. They support us, so go support them. Do you need a one-stop shop for everything you need to keep you on the trails? Slavens Racing is an online retailer that specializes in selling high-performance off-road products. Slavens is owned and operated by dirt bike enthusiasts, by riders, for the riders. The customer support team over at Slavens has a huge foundation of knowledge to help you dial in your bike and equipment. That means you get the best customer support when you call them with questions. Head on over to slavensracing.com to buy from the experts of off-road. Thanks for sticking with us through these ads. Let's get into the episode. We're here. We're rolling. First off, big shout out to 509 for letting us bombard their studio and bullshit a little bit. I'm here with Colton Haaker. Haaker, thanks for being here, dude.
Thanks for having me.
100%. It's been a lot of fun riding with you and training up here in Coeur d'Alene. Yeah, it's been, I always learn so much riding with you. And what's it like training? Would you normally be training right now, or is Ryder and the boys pushing you a little bit?
Yeah, I made a joke this week, right? We rode some moto, a couple days of Endurocross, and for me, it's a little much at the moment because we have, 3 months till Endurocross starts, right? But the kids, as we call them, because they call me Dad, which is cool, and I am a dad, so it is fine. I laugh about it, but they're after it, and I'd be doing the same thing when I was 23.
It is funny to like look in on the perspective differences between like Ryder and you, but you guys both are gaining from each other in your own way. Like Ryder's here and James and even me, I guess, like we're ready to train early. We want to get it done. And you're kind of like lackadaisical about it. Like, yeah, we got 3 months, everybody relax. And Ryder learns so much watching you ride. And then you are kind of like out there because of him in a way. So it's like, there's like a mutual benefit from the two different attitudes coming in.
For sure. Yeah. And I had that when I was doing my thing, right? I had Jeff Aaron in my corner who, funny enough, when I was 25, 24, he was around me for 5, 6, 7 years straight. And he'd show up every day at my house, 9:30. And it was like clockwork for that guy. And he just do his work and say it's like going to the gym for him. He's just putting in his reps and doing his thing. And he at 42, 43, 44 was still doing that. And he was even more consistent than me when I was 23, 24, 25, to be dead honest with you. So I don't think too much has changed on my front. I'm just, sorry, I turned that off real fast. Forgot about that.
No worries.
Yeah, I think not too much has changed on that front for me, but But these kids are revved up for sure to go. And they know that if they're out there putting in the work, for them at that age, it makes them feel like, you know, I'm doing more than a 5-time champion, you know, I'm doing more. I've been there, you know, I've been like that where I show up an hour earlier than the other guy and I leave an hour later. Mentally, it does something for you. How could it not?
Right. Yeah. I remember the mystical stories of like when you had your hacienda in California, it was like, oh, Colton's doing 20-minute, 30-minute motos on his Endurocross track. And it was like, that was like all the rumors going around, and, you know, it almost doesn't really matter. I'm sure that there was days where you're putting in long motos, but it was like, it almost made everybody believe that they weren't doing enough. And it was like, oh, Colton will do anything to win this championship. And although it might not have been the best thing for like your peak performance, it probably was good in the sense of like mental, especially considering the other riders knowing that you were willing to do that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it plays a role. I think when you put stuff out there on the ether, right, on the Instagram and the whole deal, it's people can gauge like, oh wow, yeah, he's feeling spicy, he's feeling good. You can see it maybe in their attitude and the way they're putting stuff out there, and the perception of it, right? When the gate drops, doesn't matter anymore, and we see what really happens, but it's a roller coaster of emotions, and each year presents a different challenge, and there's new people involved, and you learn new things throughout the whole process. During the hacienda days, I mean, for sure, I loved it.
Obsessed.
I loved every bit of thing about it. I had the skid steer, I had over under, I had a sprinkler system, I had 20 loads of rocks. I mean, I had the sickest Endurocross track ever made.
Sickest. It was so huge, and you could do whatever you want. Your rock section, you could hit any direction, anytime. I
had 60 different tracks if I wanted to redo it a different way, right? I mean, I could make it so many different ways, and it was a blast. It was everything that I hoped and more. You know, because once I started, I was like, okay, this could be cool. I could have a track here, and then over the years, it just kept getting bigger and better and bigger and better, and just reinvesting and trying to make it cooler and have more fun with it, and an ultimate playground for me.
I could see how like having your ultimate playground. I mean, I had a track at my house too, and I feel like that got me like big steps forward, just having it in my backyard. And for you, like having, you know, constant access to a skid steer, and you seem like you have like a really creative mind too for different things and wanting to push yourself and push the sport and learn more things. So you're probably out there just all the time, changing things, figuring out new ways to improve, put a turn here, middle of the rocks, difficult stuff.
Yeah. In the beginning, the very first track I made, I put every obstacle remade that I had made either a mistake on or had like a very issue with in Endurocross. So if I had a trouble with a double stack of tires, or if I had a trouble with a rock turn in specific, my right hand rock turn, or if I had a problem with it, I made everything that gave me an issue the years prior, and I put it all in one track. And it was like almost like I'm going to wreck all those demons in this first rendition. You know, that was the goal in the very beginning. So I just used it as the way to just try to perfect and get to that level that I was able to eventually get to, which was amazing. I mean, yeah, cool.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's the mentality that it takes to be as successful as a guy like you is. I remember watching motocross one year, and it was like Southwick or something, and Carmichael swapped out and crashed in these big sand rollers, and I think it was David Bailey or something on the mic, and he was like, he will go home, he will build a section exactly like this, and he will hit it, he'll ride it for a week straight until he will never make that mistake again, and he won't make that mistake again. And I was like, oh man, that's like a really unique mindset to be in, of just like, I'm just going to attack everything that I'm not good at. Mm-hmm. And like Taylor Robert, another great, one of his famous quotes is, practicing doesn't suck, sucking at something sucks.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. I mean, it's 100%, but we have, all right, so let's just break that down a little bit further, right? So there's a level of sucking that we're going to do at anything we start with, right? If I picked up a skateboard right now, I'd be terrible. I could ollie, but my level of commitment to learning a kick flip, right, would be like, I have to go to another level. Learning golf for me right now, like I got to put a lot of time in to be good at golf. So we have X amount of time to be good at whatever we want to be interested in. So yes, if you're very interested in something, it's hard to suck at it because you're going to put enough time in to be good at it. Yes, there's little nuances to it in the direction of, okay, I might suck at getting traction in these types of conditions or whatever. So then that's when that applies, right? So it's a very like specific little nuance spot where it applies to, where you really want to get microscopic on the thing that you're putting your time into and effort into is to not suck at those things anymore, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, because it's one thing to enjoy something and do it enough to the point where you get really good at it, but then it's another thing to attack the aspects of the sport that you don't enjoy and force yourself to enjoyment. That's like the next level of commitment.
Right. Yep. That's the difference maker in when you are obsessed at the sport that you're doing, because at the end of the day, if you're just on the surface level of it, most guys can get around the track and be within, a certain amount of skill and ability. But then when you really start breaking it down, that's when that motto applies. That's when the nuances of the daily kick in. That's when you go to bed sleeping about how you can be better. And that's when you wake up in the morning thinking about it all over again. And it's just eat, sleep, breathe the sport.
And at this point of your career, 5-time AMA champion, 3-time world champion. Yeah. Like at this point in your career, how do you maintain that?
I still love it. Still very much love endurocross specifically. Still thinking about ways to be better on the bike. I do a lot more tinkering with the bikes than most, I think, as well. Because I think I can make a percentage gain on a motorcycle fairly quickly. And if it doesn't make a percentage gain, I learn from it very quickly too. I notice a lot of guys growing up now and doing things that are very like single focused, which is skill and it takes a talent to have. But at the same time, you have to have a level of curiosity in order to get into those nuances, right? In order to know that you suck at something, you have to have those nuances, which is a curiosity to dive into. It's also a level of you taking ownership of those sucking, responsibility, accountability for those things. So staying involved in those things is and still trying to improve those things is what I actually enjoy. My dad's a big tinkerer of the motorcycle, so I might have a little bit of that. And we are proud of our environment. So
I think my favorite part of your movie is when your dad was filming you on your 80 riding around and he like turns it around and like, come on, Colton Haaker, you took your hand off at the starting line or the finish line. You can't do that or something. I was laughing.
He's like, oh, no footer, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, so
like
people always bring that up and laugh about it, that part of the movie.
I don't know why it's so funny, but
but it reminds you of your childhood, right?
100%.
And that's why it kind of resonates with you or resonates with you.
Exactly.
Is that reason? Because it reminds you of your dad.
100%. Riding a similar 80, doing a similar thing on a similar day.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Out ripping, just loving it.
Yep.
Not even knowing what seeds you're burying. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think,
Is curiosity one of your like highest values in terms of like self-improvement and just life success?
I'd say it's an added part of it, right? Because I mean, if you're trying to get better, then you have to be curious about what it is you want to be better at and how, right? So I guess that's like a very basic part to get that direction going. And then kind of can dive into all of your life, right? About the whole thing. self-awareness and self-introspection to how you are perceived. We also have an idea of what we want people to perceive us as. Kind of getting back to the hacienda and what people perceived I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
when you were training with Jeff Aaron all those years at the hacienda, like what's like the main takeaway that you got from him as a rider, as a person, as an athlete, as somebody that's like extremely skilled on the motorcycle? Like, what's something or a few things that you took away from him, like the biggest lessons that you learned from him?
Yeah, I mean, Jeff was massive for me. So funny, when I was a kid, he showed up to the Hollister biker rally, and I rode down there on my BMX bike from my friend's house, and I was hanging on the fence. I think I was probably 14, but I just remember just being on the fence, right against the fence, right, and just studying
frothing
his whole show, his whole demo show that he had set up there on the street for the biker rally, and just looking at it and being like amazed by the moves, even though at the time they were just really basic, but for me they seemed so extreme and so cool because the way he was doing it and things he was doing and I hadn't seen before. And so funny. And then 3 years later, I was in his motorhome traveling to an endurocross race, it was so weird how fast, like slowly, I became aware of this, Jeff Aaron or the trials or this thing in endurocross, and I slowly and gradually, and then suddenly it happened where I'm friends with the guy. And that's like a really like strange thing to think about when you're from 14 to 17, how quickly that changed. It was sudden. It was quick. It was slowly. Then it was just
slowly. Then it instantly happened.
Yeah.
Did you ride trials before that show that you saw? So
no.
That's what sparked it.
Partially. Yeah. I mean, what really happened was I was racing moto, and I got like my 5th concussion by the time I was 15. And so my dad took the bikes away. So I had 2 80s. I think I had a big old 80 and a regular 80, and I was pretty into it. Like, I want to be a supercross motocross racer. And so I had like my 5th concussion. Parents didn't like that. I got life flighted out. So it scared them. A couple kids died too around that time. I think my dad told me he watched a dad push his kid's bike in the truck, and after the kid passed, type of thing. I remember just daggers right into your heart for that guy, and then the thought of that ever happening to your own kid and the emotions of that. So my dad was pretty over it.
Understandably.
Yeah, bikes are gone. So I just did the regular thing in high school that first year as freshman, and played basketball. I was pretty into basketball as a younger kid, so I got kind of back into that, played basketball, did the regular high school thing. Actually got some good grades, so my dad got me a trials bike. And when I got a trials bike, it was kind of like, didn't really matter if it was a trials bike or a dirt bike or moto. Like, if it had kind of like, if it was 2 wheels, I was pretty into it.
Except for a scooter.
Yeah, I did some scootering, but it wasn't ever... Yeah, it was something about the motorcycle.
Not like
thing.
a motorcycle.
Yeah, something about just the motorcycle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I did a lot of things as a kid. I mean, I played every sport, and I skateboarded, I scootered, I did
action,
all of it. Yeah, just whatever. I was just really, really into anything. I'd pick it up, but nothing really resonated with me quite the same as a dirt bike. So when we got the trials bike, that was when it became. I got just obsessed all over again. Had a permit and was ditching class and going to ride my trials bike, and yeah.
So crazy.
It's also how I met Cody.
It's also how you met Cody. It's crazy how the moto, like if you're going to make a perfect dirt bike racer, pretty much of any discipline, I think you would start them off riding moto and trials, because those you can mix those into any type of off-road racing. You can still ride moto, you know, and you were like, you're like a unique blend of both of those things.
Yeah.
And it just kind of happened accidentally, organically.
Totally.
And then you ended up coming back to moto a little bit later in your, early in your career, but later in your life compared to what we're talking about. And
yeah,
you even raced some national motocrosses and did well there. And then, you know, eventually you kind of like found your lane and like a path to like express yourself with all your different skills through endurocross.
Yeah, it was definitely a unique little deal, and it was lucky the way it kind of happened. So having that background and then endurocross coming out. Funny story is in 2006 endurocross. I wasn't racing, but I showed up as a fan. I think one of my parents and then their friends and stuff. I mean, it might have been 2005, whatever. It was previous to racing it. And my dad's buddy, had this hard hat, and he put a headlight on the front and handlebars off the side with hand guards. and he gave it to me and was like, it had a battery in there, so it was like the light was on, the stickers on, the whole deal. And I was like, this is like the ultimate fan, right? In the stands. And I was the kid over the side screaming for David Knight's goggles after he won. Yeah. And 2 years later or whatever, I was doing it. I mean, it just was like, I was so into it. And that year, right? That was the coolest thing ever. Like there was no surefire thing that anyone was going to win this thing. It was close, and you're closer to it than motocross, supercross. And then I think I just felt like I could do this. Like I have like a really good background for it. I could totally do this type of thing. That's how I think I felt about it. So, 2 years later I was doing it, and I was fastest qualifier on my trials bike, and
so insane.
And then, I finished fourth in the main event behind Taddy won, Nighter and Miko Ahola. And I mean, 3 world champions. And then there's this 17-year-old kid on a trials bike with an open face helmet behind them in fourth, right?
So insane.
Just a weird kind of lucky in a way, the way it kind of worked out. Like this new sport is evolving and growing, and I'm this youngest generation of it, and I show the most kind of interest and promise at it, and that kind of lights this direction and path for me to make money racing a motorcycle and be involved, because I mean there was no really going back to motocross and supercross. I mean, you mentioned, you know, I raced it. I still had that itch. By the time I was 20 years old, I still had that itch to do motocross and supercross. So I raced 2 nationals that year, spent a lot of my own money, and qualified and did what I did.
What year was that?
2010.
2010.
Yeah. So I raced Washougal and Hangtown, 250F class at Hangtown, 450 at Washougal. Bone stock 250F. Literally bone stock. I had a Yosh stainless pipe on it.
No suspension?
And some bars. No, stock. Everything. Just, yeah.
Raw dog.
Just showed up and qualified like 24th. And then didn't have any real training. So then in the motos, I kind of sucked.
Did you fade?
I faded pretty bad. And then I crashed the second moto and I was out. Bent my handlebars too much. Couldn't finish. But the realization quickly at that point was, I love this. But I have a duty in endurocross. I have some sponsors. If I go down this path of really chasing this motocross dream, I'm one crash away from having nothing.
Losing it all.
And I was living on my own by the time I was 20. I was paying for rent. I was paying for my cell phone. I was paying, you know what I mean? I was paying for my groceries. Everything was on me, right? So, I mean, it was kind of like that point where it's either try to keep this going and see where it goes, because it seems to be growing, the sport, and the direction and interest in it is in the right direction. So that makes the most sense. Or I really just throw it out the window in a way and risk it all for this maybe perceived, in the end, I could, you know, maybe be up there with those top guys and make a good living for a short window type of deal, right?
And then you're still only one crash away.
And the whole time when you're only one crash away. So it was pretty obvious to me that just wasn't going to pan out.
Yeah.
You know, the risk versus the reward, which wasn't going to be there. At 20 years old, no one's really interested in me. Anyways, right? I wasn't 15. If you're 15, you know, your path is a little bit more set if you're showing some good promise. So, and that's the way it is. You know, the one guy I can think of particularly who broke that mold was like, Pike, you know, Weston Pike. He was just in it, and he was like getting top 10s and just staying in there. And eventually he finally got that ride, you know, with JGR, I think it was. Yep. And, you know, he had some good years and really got to that, almost to that top level. But again, it was one crash, you know, that ended his career type of deal. Right. So, moto is gnarly, man.
It's so gnarly. And so gnarly. Pike is such a good example of somebody who just like stuck with it, who just continued to grind away during the week and make whatever money he had to make it to the races. It was probably an effort between him and his dad or something, and just stuck with it over time, and over time it paid off. And, you know, it'd be interesting to talk to him and see what his perspective is on the sport at this point of his life and career. But yeah, it's funny that like, it's an interesting perspective. Like your choices, your less risky choice was to race endurocross for a living, and your more risky choice was to go race motocross, supercross for a living. Most people's choices was like work construction or do endurocross or some form of motorcycle related activity. But you like had a clear enough vision of like, I'm going to be a rider, and now I just have to choose my discipline within this sport.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had the sponsors already, right? So I had Lucas Oil behind me, which was amazing and super lucky again, right? It was the oil company was getting involved in endurocross, and they were sponsoring the thing, and then they needed a rider to be involved in the sport, showcasing their product, because they're putting money into the sport by doing the TV production and then all that. So they didn't have anybody repping their stuff, and I seemed like the best fit. I was cheap for them, you know, relatively for what they sponsor. And I had a high chance of getting on the podium and representing them well. So it made a lot of sense for them to sponsor me. And then it made a lot of sense for me to try to cultivate that relationship further and do good work for them and represent them well and grow that relationship, you know, because I had the foot in the door already. So at that point, if I raced moto and had a good result, great. That's cool. I mean, it's gravy, but I'm also on the other side, one step away from crashing and breaking an arm and not representing them in endurocross, which it was what they wanted me to do.
Because they're sponsoring the series. And
so it just, no one told me that, you know. I just was thinking, you know, about it as I was doing it, type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it seemed like from the beginning, it seemed like you had a pretty confident understanding of like your future in endurocross. You're like, this is what I have the best chance at, just with your trials background and just being obsessed over it. You're like one of the first of the generation of like you're a perfect example of like a young kid that had this background of riding, that liked technical riding, trials, motocross, and you had like this synergy of these different disciplines. And then endurocross comes along, and like, here you are with the perfect skill set accidentally. And you're like, oh, this is my avenue. There's an avenue all of a sudden. Yeah. And then you just become obsessed over that. And it's funny how when you obsess over something like that, you're hanging over the rails, asking for Nider's goggles, you're thinking about it all the time, and you're just thinking about it, obsessed over it, how that just almost automatically manifests itself into what it became.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you summed it up pretty well there. The two disciplines is interesting. Because previous to me, Taddy was winning in a way. Then you had a couple other guys in there in the beginning, right? You had Ryan Hughes, who won the first one, I think, in 2004. Maybe you think you had Nider or Dowdy or somebody else or somewhere in there. So you had two moto guys who won the first endurocrosses who had no trials background at all. Then you had David Knight, who seemed to be, he's big, he's strong, he's got some trials background, he's got a lot of off-road backgrounds. Mm-hmm. He had support from KTM, who at the time for sure, out of all the brands, were making the most off-road specific motorcycle out of the, building the most off-road motorcycle specific bike, and probably still do, but at the time, probably even more so. Mm-hmm. And so then you have David Knight, who has this background of those things. And then here comes Taddy, who dethrones Snyder, and he's pure just trials, but like a really aggressive trials rider. I remember watching him at a world round at Tennessee at the Trials Training Center. And I remember him he was riding a Scorpa, and he was just throwing himself at these splatters. Like there was no chance he was really he's going to get a 3. Like that's what he was going for. He's getting a 3, which in trials is you can take as many dabs as you need to, but if you ever stop your forward progress with those dabs, you get a 5. And so he's just like clawing and splattering and throwing himself and at everything and just trying to claw his way to get 3s through all these sections. Like I just remember it was so funny. And he became the Endurocross guy, and he had to learn the motocross background.
Right.
In the very beginning, he wins Endurocross in 2007, the first year I rode a trials bike in Orleans, Vegas. He dethrones Snyder. Snyder doesn't get the $50,000 Triple Crown win.
I remember that.
So Taddy ghosts his bike. Taddy's on top of the tires celebrating. David Knight ghosts his bike past him. I'm in the background. I'm in the background. I'm in the tunnel. David Knight's throwing stuff, chucking stuff, yelling at people, cussing up, doing the whole deal. And I'm just like wide-eyed, 17 years old, just like, oh my. And then he's like, at that time, he's like Shrek to me. Like he's a big dude, right?
He's still giant.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a big guy, but I'm just saying like at that time too,
And he's like a superhero. You're looking up at this guy.
Yeah. And so that was a pretty wide-eye moment. And so then Taddy's, he was getting back to the motocross part of things, and he has to learn motocross now because now he's the guy, right? He dethroned Snyder. KTM hires him the next year to race the 2008. It's 3 rounds that year in Endurocross. And he's the KTM guy. And so he goes out to a works race in Washington, and Kurt Caselli gets him to go on the motocross track with him, I think, and says, hey, yeah, come follow me or whatever. And Taddy just wads it on a tabletop and breaks his face.
I was going to say, is that when he broke his face?
Yeah. So breaks his face. I mean, it's getting metal all over his face, gets the surgery done. And I think he misses in 2008 is 6 rounds. Sorry, not 3. 6 rounds in 2008. And he misses the first half of the season or something. And so his KTM's guy, right? So he doesn't know moto. So then he doesn't win that championship. Ricky Dietrich wins the 2008 Endurocross title, right? So the off-road guy is still the guy that wins the title in the end, right? The guy with the widest variety of racing experience and moto background and off-road background. The trials guy still hasn't really won, right? The trials guy hasn't put together the racing and the aggression in a way that's produces the goods. And yes, he missed half the season. He won a round or two, but at the end, Dietrich won that title, right? So the next year, Taddy's putting in the work, you can tell, in the moto thing, and he's doing that. He's riding with I think Mike Brown at the time was his teammate, so now he's riding with Brown. He's living in Southern California. He's riding Paula, and then he develops the motocross side of things, through the help of, obviously he's on factory KTM. People are telling him the right things, like, hey, you need to do this, you need to work on these things, type of stuff, right? Giving him feedback, I would assume. And then 2009, he finally wins the Endurocross title, and then that turns into 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012. So that was his 5, those 5, right?
Yeah.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, something like that. 13. Yeah. So that was just 5 in a row. And so there's that background, right? He didn't have the moto stuff. Then he developed it. Kind of an interesting little.
Taddy kind of had the perfect mindset, or maybe not mindset, but like riding style for endurocross too, because he was willing to send it. Even though he wasn't a moto guy, he was still willing to like jump stuff and send stuff and, you know, go for the big log doubles.
Yeah.
And I always thought that Taddy had a really quick reaction time too.
Super.
Because he would like
a cat.
Like a cat.
Yeah.
He would make a mistake in a rock section and it wouldn't affect him at all. It wouldn't derail him.
Yeah.
Where like if I made a mistake in a rock section, I'd be like, oh, off the rock section.
Yeah.
And he would just pop, 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 pop,
Yeah.
and dance through stuff in a way where like, oh man, like this guy's making a mistake the whole lap.
Yeah.
And he's just making it work.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was
For
almost
sure.
weird to watch. And
For sure.
I think over the years, his style has kind of changed and stuff. But I mean, obviously it was almost like a perfect fit for him at that time too.
Exactly. He just came into that at the right time situation as well, right? Like I was just a younger version of it, but he was like at that meat and potato time, right? He was like 23 maybe. And then he was 24 when he won probably, or 25 when he won, something like that. And so he was just at that perfect age. And then he had the support too, you know, the beginning years of endurocross, there was only a few guys with the full package kind of support, you know? So it was KTM and Kawasaki was still really invested in works racing. So they split up their guys kind of between works racing and endurocross.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to pick guys that weren't really specific to winning endurocross, you know, because none of their guys were really, really endurocross guys. They needed to also win in works racing because it was big. Endurocross was pretty new, right? So KTM hired Taddy, who was the very specific, like, to endurocross. He wasn't racing works, right? He wasn't racing any other early off-road series.
Yeah.
So, I mean, other than Erzberg, really. So there wasn't a lot of support in the beginning, as far as like manufacturers, and things like that. So I was driving around the country, and I was 20 at the time, 20, 21. I'm learning how to live on my own, try to pay for things, try to cook my own food, do my own laundry, you know, do the whole thing like growing up, right? Meanwhile, I'm also trying to race a guy who's in the meat and potatoes of his career.
All the support.
With all the support. And at the time, I didn't think much of it. And not a lot of people told me that either. But then in hindsight, looking back, I was like, dude, I was at such a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Like massive disadvantage for that age and that time.
I remember it might have been like 2010, you were on a Kawasaki.
Yeah.
And I remember like during some hot laps and stuff, I was like, oh dude, this guy's like got some crazy speed. Like this guy could beat Taddy if he can put it together. And it took you a few more years to figure out how to put it together. Yeah. But once you figured out how to put it together, it was like, then you became the guy, the next guy.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that was a lot of part of it, right? I was just shooting in the dark for those early years. You know, like I had speed, I had the skill, I had the background, but I didn't have the put together approach because I didn't really have too many people in my corner. I was really lucky. I don't want to discredit people. Like I was really lucky to have the people that I did have around me, but it wasn't like a focused, you know, thing, right? I was still driving to the races pretty much by myself. I'd call Shecker and buy him a plane ticket or whatever to come drive with me to Oklahoma or Ohio or wherever we were going, right? Tennessee, wherever it was, and split that time up and of the driving time and be my buddy to keep things light and a mechanic for me on the side, right? But at the end of the day, there was no focused approach from, you know, people who knew what they were doing.
Yeah. We were talking earlier about like what you learned from Jeff Aaron and stuff like that. And I kind of forget where we ended up with that, but did he help you figure out how to focus some of that obsession that you had into figuring out how to win?
I had a lot of conversations with Jeff, a lot of deep conversations. I think just talking about it, if I learned anything from Jeff, I mean, for sure putting in the work. Like I said, he showed up at 9:30 every day, even at 44 years old. He just loved it too, right? it was just reps, his gym. So I learned that a lot, but I also, we talked a lot about the way it was kind of, the way things were going and how to kind of perceive things and what to kind of expect and how to go about it. There's a lot of that. And I think from anything, just being able to bounce ideas off of somebody that I had a lot of respect for, that I feel like obviously accomplished a lot, being a 10-time trials national champion, just being able to just have his ear, to bounce things off of. And I think kids nowadays could use it if they're open.
Yeah. That's why it's so cool that you're willing to ride and spend time and share thoughts with guys like Ryder and stuff, even though that's your competition and these are the guys that are trying to take your job.
Yeah.
But you still want the best for them and you see them make the mistakes that you made and you're totally down to discuss stuff. And, back to Jeff, what a great mentor to have at that time of your life, because, people talk about having mentors in your life and it's like that stuff just needs to happen organically. And sometimes just talking about stuff and being able to bounce ideas off and just get your thoughts in the open, and to speak and to talk about things is to think. And sometimes just talking about it is working it out in itself. Yeah. So like, what a great mentor to have in your life at that time. Yeah,
it was cool. I mean, just another situation where it just kind of worked out that way, right? The timing was right. He had just moved back to California. He was thinking he needed to get back in the motorcycle industry a little bit closer. And so I had just bought this property and I'm kind of going for the Endurocross thing and he's into Endurocross. So the timing just kind of worked out, which was super cool. And still really good friends with Jeff. It's funny because, my wife, my, girlfriend at the time, Hannah, Jeff had kids, but Hannah and I were pretty serious. It was pretty obvious that we were going to, get married at some point probably and have kids of our own and stuff. So it's like kind of hanging out with like an older version of me in a lot of ways. And that's kind of why it kind of worked, right? In that regard. Didn't mind hanging out with his 2-year-old kids, right? Didn't mind hanging out with this and showing them bikes and hanging out with them and messing with them and being like a little big brother in little ways. And so the relationship just kind of grew, right? It wasn't just we would only ride together. We go have dinner together. We'd, our wives would hang out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So cool.
It was just friends, in the end of the day.
100%.
Right? And as far as getting back to like Ryder and telling people and or sharing that stuff, I mean, what good is the knowledge if you're not like able to like share it with somebody? Like it's like one of the best treated parts of it all, right? Is being able to give back in that respect of being able to be like, oh yeah, I've been there, dude. Like this is what I did. Here you go. Here's a shortcut. You know what I mean? Maybe it doesn't work for them, but like you said, just bouncing the ideas. I didn't take everything. Not everything was like gold, right? That I got from my mentors.
Right.
But, and everybody's different, but like you said, being able to bounce the ideas off of one another is probably the key.
What's one of the main mistakes that you see some of the younger generation making coming up? And
that's a good question.
In terms of like their training and just their overall approach to their racing and career and life.
Yeah. I wouldn't say there's anything mistake. I think they're just doing it a little bit differently. They're kind of close. They're kind of buddies, which is different for me.
The camaraderie, like they're too good of buddies. A little too much that grabbing ass going on.
Just a little close. I mean, not totally, I guess. They're still being able to separate the two between like them just kind of hanging out together, or riding together, and then being able to turn that off and race is an interesting skill. It's a different thing. It's new to this generation. I feel like the generations before weren't as much. I mean, yeah, I rode with Kyle Redmond and you and I rode together a little bit here and there, not too much, but Kyle and I rode together quite a bit. Corey Griffunder would come around. But I was pretty to myself. I think you'd be caught dead to see for the most part, in the meat and the potatoes of our careers, Cody and I trained together. That would have been far-fetched. But it was an interesting thing because we were so close before that too, which is funny. It's just an interesting dynamic. But I just think the younger generation, they're open and doing things, kind of riding together, and seems like they're sharing a lot of things together.
Yeah.
Whereas I kind of just a little bit more want to have an edge, like the work I put in, I want to be able to like receive the results from that work.
Benefits of it.
Yeah, more so, which is interesting.
It's funny how your mindset changes over time when you're in the meat of your career, I guess you could say. You're more like, not secretive, but just a little bit more private with a lot of your training and how you're approaching things. And then now, like towards the latter half of your career, a little bit more open, a little bit more willing to help and, see the next generation flourish. And, it's also like a first for this generation too, because it's like, they're all traveling around in their vans. They're all trying to go after the same goals. Like there was only one of you when you were doing what you were doing. There wasn't another Colton Haaker and there wasn't four of you. There was one of you. And
kind of. I mean,
like
there was Kyle,
yeah,
and Corey and Cody. So there was a couple guys, and we were all kind of in the same boat. And we hung out together and whatnot, and we were together. And Kyle let me ride at his dad's track, and I kind of lived there for a couple of weeks at least out of the year. And I guess that, but we were, I don't know, we were close as far as friends go, but I think it was just like specific to those people. Like when I look at like Ryder and Tristan, I'm like, if you guys are going to be racing each other like closely, I would just think that those two, on the top of my head, come to mind because they're both on the factory kind of squad and
the next
touted to kind of be there. Tristan's already there. Ryder's really close, but I would just say I couldn't imagine the two top guys really train together. So that dynamic might change a little bit more.
Yeah. One thing that happened at the Endurocross track, what was it, yesterday? Is it Wednesday today? It must have been yesterday when you were riding. And on your hot lap, when you went and did a hot lap, we were just for context, we're like, kind of all of us are up here in Coeur d'Alene training, and it's cool. We all get to ride together and learn from each other, which is great. And then we'll time each other for hot laps and stuff. So Colton goes out for a hot lap, and I noticed one tiny little thing that he did when you hit that rock, that embedded rock, and hopped over that log. There was one specific line that it was really hard to get because of how the setup was, and it was just like a really small thing, but it was like saved a lot of time really. And it was just like a little thing, and nobody else really noticed it. But I noticed it, and I pointed it out to you, and I was like, yo, what was up with that little rock hop right there? That was slick. Yeah. And I was like, how do you do that? Did you forethink that? Did you see that coming? Was that like an instinctual reaction to just riding the track?
Yeah.
Just walk us through that move and like how that came to fruition.
Yeah, so full just instinct moment, right? Like we're just doing a hot lap, and there's no whatever. If I get a 10-second lap time or a 40-second lap time, there's no prize at the end of the day, right? No one's paying me for that lap.
For practice
day.
What I
mean? So it is what it is. But yeah, I hit this rock, and I just instinctually, at the last second, I kind of adjusted and saw it, and then I just went for bouncing off of it. I just pinpointed it, bounced the rear wheel off it, hopped over the other log, and then, I mean, this is an embedded rock that came up from the surface from riding it.
Right.
I mean, it's only a softball size, and somehow I was able to like see it, bounce off of it, and use it to my advantage, which was interesting and instinctual. But yes, you did notice it and bring it up. And then we kind of went down the rabbit hole a little bit of how does that come about, right?
Yes. Because it's like you almost need that carefree, like, oh, we're just doing a practice lap, hot lap. Like it doesn't even matter. Mm-hmm. And that pressure being off and just not caring about it to be able to like instinctually react and do that. And if you were going to try and do that line, it would be harder to replicate that line than it would be to just do it on a whim.
Yeah.
And
If you thought about the whole lap, there's no way you get it.
No way.
Yeah.
So how do you access that instinct without overthinking it?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to get that level of just reaction, right? So you just got to let it fly. I mean, a certain amount of time, certain amount of hours, certain amount of reps, certain amount of the whole thing will eventually get you there. I think a lot of things too is there's a level that we're thinking about things, the nuances. We're thinking about how we can, get better, and we need to do this way. We need to hit this way. We need to do that. And then in the end, all you can do is your best. So everything that you thought about, and I need to do these things and hit this way. The best of you only comes out when it is instinctual and the thought goes away. At some point you have to just trust that you know what you're doing, you've done it, and that it's time to let it happen.
It's like that saying, like, don't think.
Dude, let me tell you about a pressure cooking moment where I had that moment where that became apparent that it was or the flow state came out, or it just became fully instinctual. But Super Enduro 2015, 16, we start in December, ends in March or whatever. Cody and I are going to the final moto after 17 motos, 18 motos, whatever it's been now, 2 points apart. Whoever wins the race wins the title. I'm 2 points in the lead. I have the last gate pick on the outside, and Cody has the first gate pick on the inside because I stalled it in my hot lap, and he got first, right? And this is the last moto, and it's all to play, right?
Top stall.
Yeah. So, man, that pressure cooker moment right there, my first championship bid being this close. Cody had already won 2 Endurocross championships. So he had won 14, beating Taddy and me on the beta. And then he went on to RPM KTM and won the 15 Endurocross championship on a KTM 250 2-stroke or 300 2-stroke. And so now he's on a factory KTM, Rebel sponsored. He's like, he's on the big time deal, right?
250 4-stroke probably?
250, yeah, 4-stroke, yeah. And I just got onto Husqvarna that season, or just that was my second season with them. But my first Super Enduro season. So anyways, dude, we're at the final moto and just like full pressure cooker. I'm thinking so much. When you look at if you look at my interview after the second moto, Cody won the second moto and I got second. And my interview goes like this. Yeah, I don't know, lappers kind of played a big role there, doing cat and mouse with Cody and I. And I don't know, man, it pays off to have a lighter bike, I think, and maybe something a little bit more maneuverable. The track's really tight. And so like I'm in this interview and I'm making excuses and talking out what's going on in my head is like, his bike is a 250F. It's lighter. His power is easier to deal with. I said longer legs. He's got longer legs than me. The track is not my style, whatever, right? It's more suitable to trials, more a very specific trials guy. I'm making all these excuses in the second moto, after the second moto in the interview. It's amazing to look back and see it. At the time, I'm just getting it out of my head and creating it. So obviously you can tell that I'm in this like very, very like I'm overthinking the situation. Like it's 2 point difference. This is a pressure cooker moment. He's on a better bike. He's got longer legs. Like, oh my goodness.
You're on a 350.
I'm on the outside gate pick. I'm on 350. I'm on the outside gate pick. He has a first gate pick. You know what I mean? I'm just like, all these things are kind of like against me and in my head, and I'm building this all up, right? Because we all do. We internalize it and then we build it up and then we make it a bigger thing than it has to be. And at a certain point you say, fuck it, but that's what happened. At some point, I don't think I remember talking to anybody about it, but I put my headphones on and I played flow rider, welcome to my house. And I went in the tunnel and I just started dancing, like just feeling the music and just dancing, like just dancing, just like letting it go. Like, fuck, it is what it is. I'm here to have fun. This is amazing that I even got to this place. I even have a chance at winning. This is amazing. Everything started to change. Like I stopped thinking about his situation being better and my situation being worse. All I started thinking about is being like, this is an amazing place to be. I've worked so hard to even get here. How grateful and how amazing this even is that I have this opportunity. And it was like, let's go.
Wow.
And I went to the line, clear as day. Didn't get the start, but pushed wide. Came around the second turn, 9th. I'm scrambled. I'm trying to get up there. I had to pass everybody. I had to pass Taylor. I had to pass Gomez. I had to pass Taddy. I had to pass Roman. I had to pass Gomez. I had to pass Walker. I mean, everybody is in front of me, and Cody's in the lead. And I'm like, I have to get to him. Like, I have no other choice. And so I eventually did, when we had an epic battle and I pulled some crazy move, just full instinctual out of my ass on the last lap. Johnny stuck in the firewood pit and there's this crazy, sideways log, double stack of logs on the inside. And it's a 90-degree firewood section and Cody's in front of me and he goes wide around Johnny. I had no other choice. And I squared this son of a bitch up and I just looked and I just splattered off this completely sideways log. Like if you had thought about it, there's no way in hell you would have hit this thing and ridden it properly or done anything. But I just instinctually just saw and went and hit and splattered off this other thing and cut the corner and passed Johnny and Cody. And it was just so like instinctual. Everything about it was just reacting to what I had to do, And the only way you get there is just years and years of hitting it and doing it and those reps, that Jeff probably talked about with me and just getting your reps in the gym. And it finally just paid off once I let it go,
Oh, it's so crazy. It's like, it's such a perfect example of how just like shutting out the voices in your head and just remembering to be grateful and be grateful for the opportunity. I found that to be very fruitful in my success as well. Just like, okay, let's back up for a second here and remember how grateful we are to even have this opportunity. And it's almost like just bringing it back to being grateful to be there in the first place. Yeah. It's like it completely changes your mindset. And then it almost has like this, well, I don't have anything to lose. So if I'm already won, I'm already here. Yeah. Like I'm already grateful for this opportunity. So I might as well just let it fly. And I remember that corner. That was a gnarly move, cut in up over thing that you had. And it's just like, that must have been an incredible moment for you, winning the championship in the final moto based off this pure
last turn. I mean, he passed me back 2 turns later. He stuffed me in the corner. He jumped the corner. Amazing line. Used me as a block, as a barrier and bounced off me. And then I bounced off the outside wall and then bounced back in. Thank God the wall was there. If the wall wasn't there, I'd have been gone, right? I'd have been over the side, just taken out. But I got lucky, bounced off the wall, bounced back in. And then we have 2 turns left. And I'm like, I'm not fucking losing. Like no matter what, like whatever this takes, I'm not losing. You know what I mean? Like that's just what kind of comes to mind. And passed him in the last turn through the last kind of section before the last turn. And when I crossed the finish line, I had a double take. Was that really the finish line type of thing? I mean, I threw my bike down and I kind of like a quick like goggle throw. And then I kind of like quickly look back like, oh shit, was that the last lap? Was that the checker flag? Like I'm so in the zone. Like I couldn't even like tell. I didn't even see the checker flag, but it was like, I was just so in the moment that I didn't even
double check.
Oh my God. Yeah. At that moment, my heart dropped for a second. Then it was there. And I was just like, yes, like finally, yes, we're here. We did it. And just,
world champion.
I remember Shecker coming up to me, and I mean, he had been through a lot of it with me. And so, I mean, from just dinners at the Hacienda and talking it through and maybe even times where I said, I don't know if it's ever going to happen, and I mean, he was there for that. My wife was there for that. And Hannah was there. And I remember Shecker grabbing me And I just collapsed in his arms. And he held me up, you know, he squeezed me real tight and was like, you're not falling, right? You won, like, you're not falling, you're champ, you know, and squeezed me really tight and held me up, and I came kind of back too, right? It was just like everything just melted, right? Like, it's done. I did it. I finally, all that time and thought and process, I finally did what I said I always felt like I could do, you know, and fuck, dude. Yeah. Just reminding me of those emotions. It makes me, yeah, that championship for me was just, there's just such a high and such a way to do it. It's tough to recreate those feelings ever again. You know, like I never really had a moment and a feeling quite the same for dirt bike racing, I'd say. But
yeah, that's a pretty high right there.
Yeah.
I mean, just thinking about it now, it's like, I could see how it would be easy to get emotional just thinking about it. All those years of hard work, all those dinners with the Hacienda, talking with Jeff, putting in the motos, picking something apart, thinking about it, trying to go to sleep, can't go to sleep, thinking about it. Yeah, the night before the race, can't sleep.
I mean, breaking bones, just so many just mistakes and missed opportunities, and a lot of watching Taddy do his fucking celebratory dances after the races. Like, they just eat you alive every time that happened.
Is there a certain amount of that fueled your fire, though?
Not really too much. I just say after so many of them, you're just like, God, I don't want to see that again type of feeling, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a little bit of fueling fire, but at the same time, I have a lot of respect at the time.
Right.
You deserve it. I just don't want to see it, but you deserve it.
I want to do it.
I wanted that.
I want to dance.
I want that. You know, you deserve it. You won. Celebrate. Have at it. I'll go back to my pit, you know? Yeah. Now I throw my jerseys when I win.
Yeah, I know. Whenever you get a win, I'm like, okay, the jersey's coming off, and there it is. You get it. It's your moment, dude.
It's your moment, and I think it's there's just a fleeting amount of them left, maybe. So I want to soak them in when they come. They never feel quite the same as the first one, but if they feel anything close to it, that pure, just, I don't know what drug I got to take to be on that one, but
there is one.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So anyways, it's, just trying to get those fleeting moments and capture them as much as I can while I still can.
What's it going to take for you to get your 6th Endurocross Championship and to beat Taddy's record of 5 times?
It's going to take a lot. If you really look at it, Tristan was the next generation. Tristan and I are the same distance in age to Taddy and I. So Tristan is in the meat and potatoes, I'd call it. The oldest guy to win an Endurocross Championship is me, maybe, or Taddy. One of the two, but I was 32. So maybe Taddy was 30. I don't know, 30, 32. Anyways, what I'm getting at is it hasn't been really done later in age. Mike Brown almost won that one year. So
I remember that.
That was close. And he was probably about 40. So it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, but he's different.
He's different. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I mean, not that you're not different, but Mike Brown is a unique man.
I mean, he's different in the respect of just very, very disciplined and headstrong and narrow-focused, narrow-minded, which gets you to can get you at a very, very high level. But Brownie didn't win a lot of championships with that narrow focus, I'd say, right?
So do you think that there's other aspects
he
of
won
your
some
life?
Amazing championships. He was a 125 national championship. He's probably made more money than I have in my career. So there's nothing to take away. When I look at people and I think about the way they are, I just have to say he seems very narrow-minded in his approach.
Mm.
I mean, he's headstrong. He's going to beat the shit out of that rock or beat the shit out of the competition. I'm going to go harder. I'm going to go harder into that corner. I'm going to go harder out of the corner. I'm going to just, so the approach to me is very
In the box.
singular and narrow. And I don't think that guys who win a lot of championships are like that.
Well, like Villapoto was like that. Ricky Carmichael was like that.
I think singular or not singular?
In their approach. I feel like those guys had their like a very square, boxed in approach of just like train harder, do more, be better, go faster.
Villapoto definitely not. He's definitely more nuanced than that. If you can tell from his personality nowadays.
Mm.
And I would say it's also because you can see that his training and whatnot changed throughout the time.
Mm.
I wouldn't say that he was totally like that. He also had Dungy, who was in a lot of respects maybe the opposite of him in that regard. So he was very, he would put his nose to the grind, but he was also very analytical about his approach to the track, to the racing, to the whole thing. So he might have given a lot of different opposite perspective for Villapoto during his career, which is, I could say a lot about Cody. Super analytical. I mean, he's a freaking engineer.
Trials guy, engineer.
He's a real engineer. Like, he has a degree.
He's a legit nerd.
Yeah, he's a degree engineering. So super, technical, analytical, and maybe had to rub off on me during a lot of my approach.
So you think that...
Because you have to take a little bit of the guy you're trying to beat, right? You got to look at him and you got to be like, what's he doing?
Right.
Why is he better? What makes him better? What is he doing that's different than me? How can I take a little bit of that? And on his respect, he did the same. He's like, I got to get faster at cornering. I got to be more aggressive in between the obstacles. I got to get a better start. I got to get my elbows up. I got to make sure that I watch my front end in case Colton's near me.
There's a few years there where Cody had to watch his front end when you were around. And it was almost bad for a few years. Like, you got like a bad boy name. You even adopted this like notorious.
Yeah. A lot of that was facade, the reason why it was facade is because the series, to me, when I look at things as a whole, I didn't think the series was in a very good place. So a little bit of Hayden Deegan was there, right? Drama, stirring it up. Let's get some interest in this series. I want some job security, for the next 3-4 years. I don't want the series going south. I want to create some more interest,
bring some attention
to this instead of I could just be quiet and do my thing and just do what it is. But there's less animosity than a lot of people think. Truthfully, I mean, it wasn't great. There's a lot of inner workings there. But ultimately, I think it was even more obsessed upon because I fed into the bad boy, because there's no way Cody was going to ever do that. Right. He wasn't going to be the bad boy.
Right. There was almost like a natural yin and yang. Like, you just naturally fell into this. Did you know that you were doing that when you were doing it?
Yes.
Or was it, you did? Yeah. So you forethought out, like, you know what, I'm just going to like adopt. It probably started with like a couple, solid takeouts. And then you're like, you know what, I'm just going to adopt this bad boy. If this is what it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, I got booed. I mean, the first time I really even took Cody out was Vegas in the heat race in 2017. I don't think I ever touched him before that. I didn't even really hit him that hard, to be honest. He just didn't expect it. And I mean, his background is trials. So it's like anyone got near him, he was just like,
right.
He was pulling a LeBron James, like, just give me the red card, type of thing, right? It's just like, and then he was good at feeding into the whole other side of it too, where it's like, I don't want to race that way. And, I'm just a trials guy, poor me. He had a lot of that, to be honest. So, he fed into it. And then the crowd's booing me because he's feeding into it. And then I'm like, fuck it. I don't care. I'll be the bad guy. If we're getting boos, that means you're engaged, And if you're engaged, that means I got for sure job security coming. And that's why I said what I said even that night. I said, love it or hate it, you're going to be talking about it. That's all that mattered,
Publicity, good or bad, doesn't matter, just as long as it's out there and there's action. And there's a certain amount of that you need. Like take Deegan, for example. Like I feel like Deegan's pretty popular. People like him a lot, but he also gets a lot of hate just for whatever reasons those may be. And and I think it's a lot of that's because he doesn't really need the money from the sport. So he has like this sense of freedom and willingness to say kind of whatever he wants and bring some attention to it. Like he's not really,
I don't know if it's a money thing. I think it's more just, he's seen his dad, you're part of your environment, and his dad made an entire career off of the dramatization of him and Pastrana. His dad wasn't really even, on a skill level, like,
right.
He wasn't at Pastrana's level.
No.
You could see it in the riding. He threw some shit out there and he went for it.
But he created this controversy.
For sure. He created that controversy. Like he's the golden boy and I'm just a bad guy. And
I think he's even talked about how he wanted the best for Pastrana and just creating that two-sided thing was probably good for everybody because then people had a size.
So he's a product of his environment, right? So he's not, new to it.
Right.
What he's doing.
Plus you were at the time, and I don't know too many details on this, but you were probably bonus wise, incentivized. I know that Husky KTM, the KTM group has win only bonus options that you can be put on. So you being the winning guy and having a lot of wins, I don't know, were you on a win only bonus at the time?
I think Cody and I are both on win only bonuses.
So they put both Husky factory and KTM factory on win-only bonuses. Perfect.
And in the background, they're asking, why are we riding like this? Why is it like this? And then even further, I'm pretty sure that the mechanics were getting bonuses for their team winning. At the very least, they're getting free lunches. So taken out to lunch if I won, and if Cody won, the other side's going to free lunch. So now there is an animosity between the two teams on the whole back end. They're fighting over parts.
Oh, they
got more tires than us. What the fuck?
Yeah, that could be very polarizing and unhealthy for the good of everybody, I feel like.
Oh, it's one thing where, you're incentivizing, competition. But at the same time, I got to put food on my plate. So
I'm going to do whatever it takes to win this championship and win this race.
Yeah.
What's your approach now? That you're at this point in your career.
Kill.
Just kill. How old are you now?
34. Yeah.
34.
Yeah, I'll be 35 in September. So when the Endurocross series starts, I'll be 35.
You're 34, 35. You're pretty deep into your career at this point. And in terms of training and preparing, you theoretically have the biggest foundation of knowledge of training and preparation that you've ever had. Mm-hmm. So with all that knowledge, what's your approach coming into the season?
Yeah, it's the same as it has been. Just be really ready to go when it comes. But yeah, it's the same as it's always been, man. You can just get as ready as you possibly can. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm going to do more or less or anything. I've had a pretty good science for it, so I'm more of I listen to my body rider and I go off of feel more. So I'm not a really big data guy. I'm wearing a heart rate watch right now, but I haven't collected data in all year. And my trainer I don't think love it, but he also gets it.
Right.
And he also knows that I don't need the data to know how I feel.
Right.
About it. So.
And you got championships without the data. So
yeah.
And there's two sides to that going off a feel. type of mentality. And one would say, well, without any data and if you're only going off feel, you could so easily talk yourself out of training that day because you feel tired or run down. Mm-hmm. And you could like kind of spiral into like a pit of maybe not doing enough. But then you could also go off feel and be like, I feel like doing more today. I want to do more because that's what makes me feel like I'm making progress. So like, how do you find the balance between knowing when to take some breaks and when to pour the gas on?
I don't know that there is a perfect scenario of knowing. You just have enough data of yourself over time to know, like, okay, I'm putting in solid laps. I'm not getting arm pump. I'm not fading. I'm not breathing hard. I mean, how much more do I need to know?
I'm doing what I can.
How much more do I need to know, right? Like, if I'm getting done with if the race is 6 minutes plus a lap, and if I'm doing 8-minute motos at home, how much more do I need to know? What is this thing going to tell me? Oh, cool. I ran that hill 1 second faster up that hill or whatever. Like, people get so into it. And I'm like, I don't know. If you have opportunity and you can go ride against some competition and you're looking pretty good, I guess you're looking pretty good. A lot of that's red pill theory too, right? Like, oh yeah, you feeling this on your bike? Okay, yeah. No, I try this. I adjusted it. It should be better. Rider comes back. Oh, it's so much better. Oh my God, what did you do? Nothing.
Didn't do anything.
I mean, it's the same shit, you know? So, and the data to me is like, it can be the opposite. It's like, oh, my watch says my battery's low. My body battery's low. Oh, I probably shouldn't do anything. I probably should take it easy. I mean, there's that too, right?
Right.
Oh, my watch is telling me I'm not hitting PRs anymore. Oh, I'm slower by 3 seconds on that mile run or whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
obsessing over the data can be brutal for your overall. And so you think that just overall self-awareness is the way to, for you anyway?
For me, for sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't mind collecting data. But if my heart rate tells me I'm at, cool, I hit 210 or 201 that moto, I held it for a minute, I don't really need to know that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, did I ride that well or did I not ride that well? Was I handling that moto well or was I not handling that moto well? You know what I mean? So I don't know. It just seems so obvious to me. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe it's not that obvious.
Well, you're also you're a guy that feeds off creativity and feel and flow state and these like, I don't know, it's like the left brain, right brain thing. Like one side of the brain is more analytical and the other side is more creative. You're more of the creative side of the brain. So you don't really, the data doesn't really fuel your fire. You don't really gain too much from it. You're more interested in having fun, being creative, feeling, seeing how you feel and going off of what you feel and like the obvious that's in front of you. And it totally makes sense. And you can look back on you like as a riding career and you can see that like you made all these crazy films. You've kind of done it all. You're a guy that's like sort of done all of it. Like you've won national championships. You won world championships. You made a movie, X Games Real Moto. You've competed all around the world, started an apparel company, run businesses. You're a guy that's done it all.
Yeah.
So you obviously have more of that creative side of you, especially some of those videos that you made where you like wrote a poem for the whole thing and like rode throughout. Like that's a pretty unique thing. Like nobody else is really doing that. And then the 360, what even is that? Where did how did that even come up?
We were hitting a log on the top of they used to put like a log, maybe on top of a little bit of dirt on a 180 turn on the inside. Just like you think of the fastest way to like hit that thing would just be foot plant, kick it over, get back on the gas. I don't know. I just like looked at it and I was like, I wonder if I could just kind of like how further I could go. And the log was really low. So I threw it as hard as I possibly could when it was low. And I got like 270, and I threw as hard as I possibly could over and over and over. And I just kept getting to the same spot. And I'm like, oh, well, if I really wanted to do this all the way around, which I would think would be super cool, I'm going to have to go higher.
More airtime, more time to spin around.
Yeah. So I built it, and I said, and then it became the risk because I was like 10 feet in the air versus like 4 or whatever, right? So then when I was landing, I was crashing, and I was actually getting hurt and like not in there, wasn't feeling great. So, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it evolved. And then I did it first on that Honda,
I remember that when that came out.
Yeah. And that was pre-views. I think I gained like, I don't know how many followers. I don't know. Close to 100,000 followers overnight.
Oh.
And that was previous to views and, where you could have seen real numbers about what it was doing. But I mean, on Facebook at the time, it had 10 million views.
Oh, well, it was the first time that's been done.
Yeah, no, it was viral before things were viral, kind of a thing, right? It was a little early to the party.
Nobody else has done that in that way.
Not quite the same for sure. There's been other. I mean, once you see it, then the other guys try to duplicate it in a way. But yeah, just I don't know. Once you did it, I don't know why anyone cares to do it now. Maybe. I
feel like that's one of those tricks that has been done, but then, usually once a trick has been done, then everybody else does it.
Right.
But that's like a trick that was done and nobody else has really done it. I mean, there's been some guys that did it like, in the sand or, into mulch and it was kind of like a half, it wasn't the full gnarly like yours was anyway. I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, like in my real moto, I mean, it was basically a double jump, like there was a lip and then there was like a landing below it, further down, like almost like pretty much like a gap in between, so it was like really kind of took a real jump and just did it.
It was insane.
Yeah. I mean, it was insane to me too. I didn't ever think about doing a 360. It just became a thing. And then it turned into, well, what else can we do?
Yeah.
And that's when I started to go down the video hole and
freestyle.
And I was like, I'm going to mix all this together.
Backflip.
I can, 180 to backflip to rock pile to, so I was like, I'm going to Danny McAskill all over this motherfucker, like on a dirt bike. That's kind of what I felt about it, and I mean, it was cool. There was some cool stuff in there and it was fun. But I was always up against the two things, right? So I had to race. In the early years, I had to pick, do I throw out more risk and do moto and try to encapsulate this, 5 years, 10 years down the road, maybe I become a top guy in moto and I make really good money? Or do I lower my risk and focus on this, which has a much less, payoff and monetarily? And then later it was the same. It was like, well, I want to do these cool videos, but Husky and my sponsors, for the most part, don't really care. And when I do the videos, and if I focus on doing the videos and then I have a bad result, then they kind of blame the videos.
Right. Like you're doing all these videos, but you're not winning races anymore.
Yeah.
Well, because like 17 and 18, right? Is that when you made your movie?
Yeah. 8. Yes. Yep. Exactly.
And you lost the Endurocross Championship that year, right?
Yeah. So in 2017, I got hurt. I did my elbow in, and I tried to ride through it, but I couldn't do it. Cody was super good that year too. It would have been tough to win even if I was all in, but I wasn't all in, and I had my elbow injury, and I was doing the videos, and I was spreading myself pretty thin. And then I had some little bit of demons going on with that trying to recapture winning again, which inspired my movie, iTunes film, about the life of kind of an athlete, and what that kind of means to us and how to approach it. But yeah, so then 17, 18, I made that movie, and where we go with that?
Lost the championship, but then decided to cool it on the videos and just kind of go back to racing. And then you got it back in 19, right?
18. So I lost, yeah. So, yep. So I lost 17 Endurocross title. So I won 16, lost 17, and then lost the World Championship, 2018 World Championship to Cody, which was right after the 17. I wasn't even close. I mean, I couldn't ride the bike at all. I mean, my elbow was bad, my preparation was bad, and I wasn't gelling with the bike at all. To me, there were some parts in the bike that were different than when I was previously racing, which I actually figured out, but it's really hard to get anybody else to take fault for things that I found were I think awry. And
were this suspension set up? Like, what was this?
At the time, it was a clutch setup. So they had different length pull rods in the clutch. And every time I got into the moto, my clutch would get a little bit hot. And if I even just barely touched the clutch, it would disengage. So it basically made my clutch unusable because it was all the way on the end. And if I even just barely breezed it, it would disengage the bike completely. I couldn't ride it. So I was just floundering. I mean, brutal. I was barely even getting like 5th or 6th. I couldn't even ride the track. And so how did I figure this out? Kyle Redmond's at the house, and I'm telling him all this, and he pulls his stock pull rod out of his 350, and we measure them, and mine's longer. And I put his in, and I'm right back to just kicking ass.
Weird.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, bikes.
Anyways, it was a combination of everything, right? You're off the bike, you're not feeling amazing. Preparation's bad. You're not gelling with the bike. You're questioning everything. It's spiraling the wrong way.
Yeah.
And it's just quickly how it changes.
Yeah.
You know? And I was able to pull back out of that, right? And so then I won in 18, and Cody and I had a crazy, crazy battle year that year. And I stopped messing around with videos a little bit for sure.
You went back into Rocky mode.
I went back into Rocky mode. And I buckled down and didn't make excuses.
Yeah.
And it was a close year. It came down to one moment basically between him and I. But I knew if I got that one moment that it was good. So it was going to be done. So, but anyways, it was, the evolution of the dirt bike racing career.
It's wild where the sport's at right now. I mean, obviously, endurocross is as competitive, if not more competitive than it's ever been. There's like a whole new generation of young racers that are coming up and putting everything into it, training every single day, which is obviously makes your life harder and my life harder. So, I mean,
the sport's evolved in a lot of ways too, where when Cody and I were doing it, it was in battling, we were lapping 3rd place for 2 years straight. Because they were 12 minutes plus a lap.
That was so brutal.
It's a long race. And 6 minutes nowadays feels long. When you're in endurocross. It feels long. You think about 6 minutes, you're like, 6 minutes.
What's your preferred format for endurocross racing?
I'm going back and forth, but ultimately, I think the 6 minutes, it gives the most variety, and it gives the most chances of things going and getting different winners and things happening. Because everyone is very like, okay, gotta get up front.
Yeah.
Gotta be really aggressive. Need to make it happen now. So it creates a lot of urgency to happen now, which causes people to do things, which causes people to, then it creates excitement and entertainment. And that's where I think the value is in the series. And I suggested that, all the way back in the day when Cody and I were lapping third place, because I was racing super enduro. And I thought, well, the heat races are 6 minutes, and we've had guys actually battle us for the 6 minutes. So why don't we adopt the super enduro format to let this next generation get in the mix?
Have a better chance.
And so then we grow the sport. So I was always like a proponent for growing the sport. The job security thing. I love endurocross. I think it's really exciting. I think it's really interesting in the respect of like what you're doing on a motorcycle and how you're doing those things, right? Like the type of racing it is. I think it's exciting. I think it's a lot of the years and over the time it's been unpredictable. So I like all those things and I want it to grow, So I was always proponent for whatever's best for the sport is what I'm happy to do, right? And if it doesn't work out best for me, which it didn't, like I was super good at 12-minute motos. Like I was so strong. And I had the track and I had the desire and I had the determination and I had the love for putting in the work. And so a lot of those times I was coming from behind. I'd had a lot of mistakes in the beginning, and then I would come from behind and just be smoking everybody at the end of a moto.
Yeah.
A lot of years.
Picking up steam toward the end. And those 12-minute motos are hard. Even the 6-minute motos are hard. I think that no matter whatever length the motos are, it's like you're still just hanging on, or at least I am usually just hanging on because you're pushing as hard as you can no matter how long the motors are for the whole time.
I think the 12 minutes, though, it's tough. It's more of a marathon, to be honest.
Yeah, and it takes the urgency away. Yeah, because it's like, okay, I got 12 minutes. I need to get into a flow.
Yeah.
Where 6 minutes, it's like,
a lot of guys will just not do a lot of things in the beginning of a race. When it's to 12 minutes, they just won't get themselves in a position because they're like, I don't want to do anything crazy and put myself behind.
I don't want to burn all my matches.
I'm going to ride 80% for a little bit here, and then I'm going to pick it up, hopefully, and maybe settle in, type of thing. But when it's the 6 minutes, like you said, urgency is up there. So people are just running into each other right off the start, which is the most entertaining portion you could give, thing you can give to the audience. So I'm happy for that. Yeah,
it's good battling. In terms of like hard enduro and endurocross, like the outdoor and indoor series, if you were the mayor of off-road and you could do anything that you wanted, how would you set those series up in terms of scheduling, format, and stuff like that, like throughout the year?
I think the scheduling is fine. I would be, and I've had a big pet peeve with hard enduro the last 4 years since it became what it is, and it's being a series and wanting to grow and get some length, some legs out of it, and become a national championship. They need a format, in my opinion. And they say they have 3 formats. And I'm like, well, which sport has 3 formats? They all have 1. So I would like to see a format. And they're like, well, everybody has their own, we're working off the promoters and what they want to do. And so maybe it comes down the road. But in preference, if you could set up a format where the athletes know what to expect and there's guidelines and rules for that, so they can train to the best of their ability. I can't stand having to race a motorcycle one day, 6 hours, and the next day I'm using a GPS on a race course. Like I don't like all the different formats. I don't like all the different things I got to deal with as an athlete. I don't see it getting the best out of me personally. Other guys might feel differently about it, but when it's very clear what I need to do, I'm happy to put in all the work. If it's a 3-hour race and it's three laps, whatever that looks like, then I know it's 3 hours. That means I'm going to get on the bicycle. I'm going to ride 3 hours. That doesn't mean I'm going to go on the bicycle and get ready for 6,
Yeah. I think the difficulty with having one format is our different venues, because not all of our venues cater to a singular format. For sure. Like Page, for example, it's a feature-based hard enduro event. So you have to scale this down to regular people. And in terms of growing the whole sport, we need more entries and we need more people interested in it. And if everybody's going to go out there and wreck all their stuff on the 2% of the 2% obstacles, then you're going to kill the sport, like what happened in Europe. So we have to like,
I mean, I don't know if it's killed the sport in Europe, but I would say, Erzberg still has all the entries, but it's a different thing. Like it's a festival for guys. The guys go to Erzberg and they just go, I was at Erzberg. They only got up the first hill,
right?
Or they only did the prologue, but they're in the beer tent every night.
Yeah, I think
that's the experience.
I'm only saying that based off what Nider told me. He said that like, you know, hard enduro kind of went through a lull in Europe at one point because everybody wanted the hardest race. And then because everybody wanted the hardest race, it was really difficult to get more entries and to grow the sport as a whole.
Could you imagine buying your own stuff and then going to a hard enduro?
Full retail.
And ridiculously ruining that bike, sitting in bottlenecks for the majority of your riding, just breathing in that 2-stroke exhaust in front of you. Sounds like a great time. Amazing. Spending $500 of just an entry, then alone driving out there, paying for your stay. Like you're $2,000 in the hole before you even got to that bottleneck. And then you're just loving it, just getting gassed. Like, I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I just have a strong opinion.
No, it's okay.
I've been opinionated about it, but I think that they should provide value to the amateurs in a race course that is challenging yet rideable. And I think that they should make the pro racing a spectacle. And they shouldn't combine the two, in my opinion. I mean, I get it. Some amateur guys like seeing us go by them when they're in a bottleneck.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they don't love it when I'm motherfucking them trying to get by them in a bottleneck and kicking them over because I need to get through, which I guarantee happened more than once by a lot of the riders the last race. So I think it should be more of a put the riders on a pedestal, the top riders on a pedestal.
Yep.
And give the amateurs what they really want, which is riding time and a challenge, but something that they can go home and say, I got my money's worth.
So you think that like an amateur only type of race where they have like a good adventure race, nothing too wild.
Saturday is amateurs.
Saturday amateur
Saturday's
race.
amateurs.
And then Sunday.
And Sunday is the pros. And a certain amount of amateurs can qualify into the Sunday race, but you limit it. And then on the Sunday race, you do a shorter course so that the guys who are all there on Saturday
can watch on
Sunday, and they can view it, and they can get video and feel like they're a part of it, and they got to ride some of it.
And watch Colton ride up some gnarly shit.
Yes, and be a part of it.
And like a short course on Sunday.
Yeah, shorter, right? Like TKO-ish.
Yeah,
you know?
like good spectating.
Yeah, something you can spectate. But, I mean, TKO is its own beast. It's its own thing. You can make page. It's totally different than TKO with the obstacles. Each one of these venues has their own unique features that you can change up. But create the format. It's an hour race. It's an hour and a half race. 2 hours. I don't care. I don't care what you make it. Just make it the same. Just make it so I know what the hell I'm training for. I mean, it's not a circus, but it is. You're treating it like I'm a goddamn monkey in a circus, flinging shit at each other. That's what it feels like. Changing a race, changing the length of the race, halfway through it, adding an hour in. I drank all my water. I took all my goos in. I looked at my watch. I got 30 minutes left. I've already been out here for 4 hours. And I got 30 minutes left. And I gave it all I got to stay ahead of Kana Boy. And then I get over to the pit and I'm like rolling through and I'm like, yeah, it's over, sick. And then they're calling me in to come get gas. And I'm like, what's going on? Oh, they added an hour.
You got to keep going.
What the?
Yeah. Well, that was the Silver Kings. That's not the Hard Enduro series, but I totally know what you're saying.
I don't want to rip. I don't want to rip on everybody.
And you're not just ripping on the Hard Enduro series or just Silver Kings, but you're just ripping on the idea that there's not a framework to keep to stay within for the races, and that it's really important to have a framework that racers know what to expect.
Yeah. Because how else do you govern?
Right. It's like, I always say, it's like playing ping pong with your dad.
Yeah.
What, you're just going to change the rules? Yeah. Or going to the gym with Jared and Taylor. You're just going to change the rules until Taylor wins like that.
Yeah. So,
I hear you.
And I'm not taking anything away from, dude, that's just me. Tristan and Cody and Ryder and Will.
Yeah.
They'll do it.
Well, they don't really care either.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Conaboy, dude. I'm going to keep going until they rip me off my bike.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what he said, you know, and it's just like respect, man. Like mad respect for that.
That kid's a savage.
But, I don't know. I'm a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I want the sport to be better. And I think that's the way the sport gets better.
Yeah.
You make things clear and you make it consistent.
Yeah.
And that's how you grow the sport. And if I don't say anything, none of those kids are saying anything.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's all good. I mean, I think it's good to have opinions in there. And, you know, I think we have a good crew organizing the U.S. Hard Enduro Series right now. I mean, I think Josh making the courses and everybody working together, I think that we're headed in a solid direction. And I do think it's important to have everybody be able to put their opinions in. We're pretty deep in here, so I want to wrap things up. But one other thing I wanted to ask you is 2024 Endurocross season. As a guy that's done so much and given so much and brought so much to the sport, freestyle, moto, trials, filming, championships, apparel companies, business, what other goals do you have? And like, where do you see your career, your racing career going after 2024?
It's a good question, man. I don't know exactly where it goes. I've already expressed my opinion with Husqvarna about hard enduro. My amount of time that I have to give to hard enduro isn't there. Having to get ready for 4-hour races and that load that requires. I don't have the drive, the determination, the heart, the desire to do it. So I won't be doing hard enduros, guaranteed. Where that leaves me for a ride, we're not entirely sure. But I'm pretty sure that if I was KTM Husqvarna, they want you to ride 2 series. So that kind of puts me in a position of maybe there isn't something there. So it comes to a head at some point. My true like desires live in, you know, Endurocross, that feeling that I explained to you about winning that championship and the emotions I get from that and the feeling and the crowd and all of that to really, really speaks to me as a rider.
Getting to perform in front of the crowd.
Yeah. Just getting to be able to do your best work in front of a group of people and hearing the excitement from those people and the lights and the action and
it's fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I like that it's, you know, it's clear cut what we need to get done. Everyone knows the rules going into it. You have a certain amount of time to get ready. The gate drops, the rules aren't changing, you know, and it's bar to bar, and it's quick, it's fast, it's hard hitting, and it's like, who can be the most perfect right now? Like, no one cares what happened yesterday at the track, but 3 months from now, when the gate drops, it's when it matters. So, I like that. Yeah. And hard endurance can be the same thing, right? Like, but it's a drawn out version.
Yeah.
Like being out there for 3 hours is not quite the same to me.
Yeah. Well, with endurocross, like, do you have desire to continue racing endurocross? Do you want to keep doing that?
Yeah, I do, but I'm at a funny point, where my pay and what I'm paid to perform at, is at a high level based on the amount of championships I've won, because I earned that pay through winning. But if I'm not willing to do 2 titles, I don't know what that looks like. So I don't know what that looks like at all on the 2 series thing, or just the 1 series. And I
mean, you'd think,
and I if I can win the series again this year, of course I'd like to run the number 1 plate again.
Yeah.
Of course, 100%, because I might not get another chance to run the number 1 plate. And like I said, I want to take on those moments, and hold on to them as much as I can, because when it's done and you say you're done, you're done. You're not going back. I mean,
right.
Taddy came back, and he almost won another one a couple right after he came back. But, whatever happened there with his bike and stuff happened, and he didn't win another one. So, and he's in it now, and, now he's to the point where he's doing his Stark thing, and I don't know if he's even going to get to race endurocross at all. And it's more feeling to me, like it means something more to me than just a paycheck.
Right. To
be dead honest with you, like all those emotions and those feelings and those moments and those memories, that's really what it is for me. Like at the end of the day. But I also don't want to compete and not have a chance at winning. Right. So like if I had to go and do my own thing and put that all back on myself, I don't know that the full desire is there to spend the money and do the whole thing and not maybe have the opportunity to put myself in the position to win. Right. I would say I told my buddy 3 different things would happen that would come to a head for me. And it was either I can't win. I can't compete to win anymore. And that's how it goes. I get too invested in I see another avenue that is it is a new challenge. It's different. It's interesting. And it challenges me as a person. And I go that direction. So that's like business related. Or the third is I just want to put more emphasis and time and making memories with my family and my daughters. Because being a dirt bike racer is very selfish. Super selfish. Like you need to go to bed. You need to you need to think about yourself a lot, because when that gate drops, like what you did 3 months prior, when I said how that goes doesn't matter, but it matters in the respect of it has to go right when the gate drops.
Right.
That means that 3 months prior is, you had to sleep good. You had to eat well. You had to, put yourself first.
Right.
In order to get those things, and I don't want to be that. I've looked at a lot of riders that are kids, and it's tough to put yourself on the back burner when you're a rider. Cause it's just such you're the guy and everyone's, checking you out and doing your thing. You're the big hitter and you're winning races and you're a championship guy. And it's like that feeling of like who you are as a race winner, as a champion,
right.
As those things. It's like how you define yourself in a lot of ways. And then that like goes away. It's like the reality of it is no one cares the next year.
Nobody cares.
And I don't want to I don't want to put my family on a back burner.
Yeah.
To those feelings. No way. Like what happens for my kids is if I can put the same energy that I put into my racing, into my family, into my kids, into their successes, to, be there for them and help them in whatever endeavors they want, that is going to be that's going to be super fulfilling for me as a person, So like you said, the whole, championships and race wins and making a movie and freestyle, and I kind of mixed it all the whole time. Yeah. Like I got married, I got kids, I'm still racing, I made movies. I just kind of kept just mixing more into it, right?
Reaching for more and more.
And just kind of throwing it on top and keep it kind of keep the wheels turning, essentially, right? And it's cool. Like I wouldn't have done it any other way, but I've seen a lot of other athletes who put off a lot of those things before they, got done racing, or till after they were done racing, then they start those next things, but I think that's what's kept me so interested in it and kept me driven as long as I have, is because I have mixed all those things. I haven't put those things on the back burner. So like when I win a race now and my kids are in the stands, it's like a whole nother thing, like a feeling and of importance and level of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if I was Husqvarna, surely I would find a spot and find a way to keep Colton Haaker on my team. You want an Endurocross only contract? Absolutely. I mean, if I was Husqvarna, I mean, I'm not, but it would make sense. I mean, you have this guy that's poured his whole life into this and, has made this incredible brand alignment with my brand and made my bikes look so good for so long. Like, okay, maybe you want to do testing for half the year and then Endurocross for half the year. Like, you got a job. Like, if I was Husqvarna, I wouldn't want to just let that knowledge and that resource of Colton Haaker just go walk out the door. I wouldn't want to lose that. I feel like there's so much that a company like that can draw from. Mentoring younger riders, being a trainer, like, are there other aspects of the sport that you'd be interested in investing your time in?
Yeah. I mean, the whole mentor thing, right? Like the Jeff Aaron with me and then me to the next gen. Like, yeah, I don't know that there's any, monetarily, I don't know the
paid position.
Time for that. Yeah. I mean, there's a team trainer, for the whole KTM group on the East Coast and West Coast. So there's 2 trainers, I think, but, they're doing work, right? They're, checking in with the riders, seeing how they feel. They're setting their programs up. I just know from my own experiences that the percentage that makes up the real difference between first and second, and sometimes first and fifth, is 1% left upstairs that a lot of people can't get. And that 1% can make up all of it.
A lot of seconds on the track.
Well, all of it. It can make up all. Yeah. It can be the 1% missing that pushes it over the edge, like that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah.
And you don't generate that anywhere else.
Right.
Because physically, to be honest, the same trainer is training all the same guys.
Right. And we all have
so
two
arms. Are they doing anything different? Not really.
2 arms, 2 legs.
How are they perceiving though what they're doing? How are they perceiving their competition? How are they thinking about what's coming next? How are they forecasting what that looks like? How are they forecasting what that day looks like? How are they hitting these marks and these goals and these milestones to put themselves in the right frame of mind, in the right mindset to do the damn thing correctly and to perform at that moment? Yeah, it's their job. They should figure it out. But that's why a lot of guys don't, because that's the hardest part.
And how much do you think that like manifestation and visualization can come into play for that? I know we've talked about visualization a little bit. You told a story about X Games when you couldn't train before it because you were hurt and all you did was visualize. How much of a role does that play? And plus, like, I feel like you kind of are a manifester.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't make a vision board or anything, but I definitely think about a goal and then I work backwards. That's how I do almost everything. So I think about my goal is to win an Endurocross Championship. So how's that going to happen? Let's work it out backwards, right? That's how I would do it. And I'd start from there and I'd work it through backwards. And then I would come to my first step from that. Yeah, I think that's not manifestation. That's just planning, you know,
right.
And that's forecasting. That's thinking about just giving yourself a position to perform best at your ability. And I think guys, for sure they do it, but there's little things you can add to it and to make it deeper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hardwired in.
I mean, think about it. Like if the guys are once, you know, they're within the same second on a supercross track, their hot laps, you know, like their qualifying time, well, there's 10 guys within a second and a half.
It's insane.
I mean,
they're all capable is what you're saying.
Yeah. So what's the difference?
The thing between the ears, maybe?
It's all that's left. It's the only thing left is that how do you process? How do you process what is, and how well do you know yourself in order to know what you need to give yourself the best opportunity to put yourself there to win?
Back to the awareness.
So maybe there's something there, but I don't know. For right now, it's upstairs. It's in my own head, I guess. I'm not going completely out of my way to work all that stuff out with other guys, but
right.
Everybody's different, but have some self-awareness and then feel it out a little more than data. You can have a little mixture of both, but
yeah. Well, you're the man, dude. Is there anything that you want to say?
I think I've said a lot so far.
Yeah.
No, I mean, everything's been said that I can think of at the moment, but I mean, this just got that's the question. I could go on for another hour, no problem.
I know. We'll just have to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, it's been fun. Thanks for having me. Getting deep with it.
Yeah. No, dude, I'm super stoked that you made some time out of your day to come here and share all this information and just who you are. And, you know, thank you for everything that you've done for the sport, dude, like from all angles, making the sport bigger, bringing attention to it. It's been really cool to kind of have a career at the same time that you do. And it's fun to get you in the studio and BS for a little while. So thank you for your time and everything you've done for the sport. And man, all good.
Cool, man. Appreciate it, Max.
Appreciate you, dog.
Thank you.
Cheers. All right. Peace out, guys. Thank you.